Gyro is one of those characters who, even with little screen time in Hunter x Hunter, leaves a heavy mark on anyone paying attention. He's like that quiet person at a party, barely speaks, but when they do, you never forget it. You know the type? He shows up subtly, almost hidden, but his story carries such absurd weight that it makes you pause and really think about what defines a villain, or a human being, really. Because Gyro is a rare blend. He wasn't born evil, but was shaped into it. And the worst part, he understood everything. He understood the world. He understood people. And his conclusion was allowed not worth it. That's when everything changed. He grew up in a construction camp, the kind of place where concrete shows up before breakfast. Literally, before he even learned to talk, Gyro already knew how to mix cement. That alone gives you a clear picture of what kind of childhood he had. Practical, harsh, and with little room for dreams. And his father, well, he was one of those men who should never have had kids. Violent, absent, alcoholic, and yet in Gyro's eyes, almost godlike. And that's the painful part, because we see a child desperately trying to find love where there is none, forcing meaning where there's only pain, all because he wanted to believe his father cared. And for years he believed that, even while being beaten, isolated, treated like a burden. The switch flips completely when Gyro is 12, a critical age, right? That phase when you start trying to understand the world, and if the pieces don't fit, things can go bad. He gets into a fight with a kid who insults his father, and in the chaos, the truth comes out. His father never took care of him. The whole story about saving him from a serious illness was a lie. It was the neighbor who cared for him, and his father didn't even care if he lived or died. And just to add salt to the wound, his father walks right past them, sees his son hurt, and simply ignores him. Not a glance, not a word, nothing. And that nothing means everything. That's the moment Gyro realizes he's just another nobody in the world, that no one truly cares. And when that truth hits, it hits loud. That's when he decides if the world is like this, then he'll be worse. If no one cares about anyone, he'll spread that with passion. And it's not just rebellion, it's a plan. He kills his father, takes the money, and leaves. Then he creates what's arguably the most twisted entrepreneurial venture ever. D2, a drug designed to ruin lives. Not for money, but out of pure disdain. That's when you realize Gyro doesn't want to rule the world. He wants the world to suffer, because he suffered alone. Because he realized love didn't help, and trying to be good got him nowhere. Over time, he founds NGL, the weirdest and most contradictory country in the series. Natural green light, a place where technology is banned, but drug trafficking runs rampant beneath the surface. It's almost a sliced up social critique, a utopia on the outside, a pit of rot on the inside. And Gyro, the king of this land, rules with a firm hand. All that power, organization, that insane system he built, it's the result of a mind that was once brilliant, but now only sees purpose in destruction. And even so, you can still see the genius. In another universe, Gyro could have been a great leader, a scientist, a revolutionary. But in our universe, he's the opposite of all that. And then comes the bizarre part of the story, the Chimera ants. When the queen shows up and starts eating humans to birth a new generation, Gyro is one of the ones who gets eaten. And at that point, most people would turn into some new creature with no memories. But Gyro? No, he's so full of rage, so proud, so loyal to his own worldview that he keeps his memories and personality even after the transformation. It's surreal and also deeply symbolic. The guy literally becomes a different species, but remains himself, still hating humanity, still fixated on spreading evil, and most importantly, still free. He completely ignores the queen and walks away. Just leaves like saying, I'm not playing your game. That exit, by the way, is one of Hunter x Hunter's greatest moves, because he disappears. Just like that. We know he's out there. We know he's reorganizing, but he doesn't show up again. And that's genius, because it turns Gyro into a shadow, a constant threat that could return at any moment. And let's be honest, that's scarier than 1,000 fight scenes. It's psychological weight, a presence that doesn't need to be on screen to be felt. Now, let's talk about the difference between the anime and the manga. Really interesting bit for fans of adaptations. In the anime, Gyro is basically an Easter egg. He shows up in super quick scenes, gets mentioned in passing, and if you blink, you miss him. Like some hidden lore character from a game. He's important, but the anime doesn't spend much time on it. The manga, though, is a whole different story. There, Yoshihiro Togashi makes a point of dedicating full pages to telling Gyro's story. And what a story! It's dense, tragic, and layered. We see everything. His childhood, his father, the breaking point, the creation of his empire, and the transformation. And it's in the manga that we also get a deeper understanding understanding of the impact he had on others like Welfin and Icalgo, who remember him with respect, almost as if he were a living legend. And that adds even more strength to the idea that Gyro isn't just another villain, he's a symbol, an extreme reflection of what happens when someone completely loses faith in humanity. And we have to talk about the philosophical vibes surrounding the character. Gyro is the kind of figure who makes you question what defines good and evil. He isn't evil for pleasure or out of impulse. He's evil because he believes there's no alternative left. He's almost a reversed version of the traditional hero, someone who suffered so much that instead of saving the world, chose to punish it. And the wildest part is, despite being so cruel, he remains fascinating. We want to see more of him, understand more, find out what he's going to do now that he's out there. Like a ticking time bomb roaming Meteor City. After the chaos of the Chimera Ant arc, one question hung in the air. Okay, but what about Gyro? Where is he? The most honest answer is a big no one knows. But that no one knows carries a ton of potential, because unlike other characters who exit the story and feel finished, with Gyro it's the opposite. It feels like he's just getting started. When he walks away from the Chimera Ant's nest, he's not escaping. He's restarting his way. Remember, this guy already created a nation from scratch. Now he has a stronger body, unknown abilities, and that same brilliant mind, only more determined than ever. And if before he used NGL's structure to spread chaos subtly, now he can do it much more directly. The real question is, what exactly is he planning? Let's take a little trip here. Not exaggerating, but thinking logically based on how Togashi builds his narratives. Gyro, at this moment, is probably somewhere like Meteor City, which is basically the land of the outcasts, the invisible ones, the people society threw away. And there's no place more symbolic for someone who wants to destroy the world than a place where everyone's already been discarded by it. Meteor City is literally the world's trash heap, and from there, the most radical threats can emerge, because everything there breathes resentment, abandonment, and opportunity. Gyro isn't the type to come back full of rage and knock on the Hunter Association's door screaming, "Look at me." He's a strategist. He's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. His return will probably come first in the form of an idea, an ideology, a philosophy, maybe a group. He'll attract people like Welfin and Icalgo, former subordinates who still believe in him, who call him king even after death, and turn that into a new force. Think about it. If he, as a human, was already able to create a nation and manipulate the underworld, imagine now, with a Chimera Ant body, abilities we don't even know yet, and the same heart filled with contempt for everything. He could very well be planting the seeds of a new global movement. And it doesn't even need to be military. Gyro is more dangerous on the ideological battlefield. The man literally created a drug just to ruin lives. Do you really think he wouldn't come up with something more symbolic, deeper? He could be organizing a new religion, a sect, a cult of destruction disguised as liberation. People tired of the system, hurt by the world, lost, all of that is raw material for Gyro. He's not just going to show up with an army. He's going to appear with a legion of followers who believe he's the only one who knows the truth. And here's the part that ties it all together. Gyro isn't just a villain. He's an anti-savior. A man who looks at the world suffering and says, everything is wrong, and the only way to fix it is to destroy it. That's way more complex than just, I want power. You know? He doesn't want to be king of the world. He wants to watch the world collapse. He wants to show that no one is innocent, that his suffering wasn't an accident, but a symptom of a rotten system. That's why his return might not come in the form of a Gyro arc, but as an invisible consequence. A network of actions happening in different places, involving different characters, and only later do we realize, oh, it was him behind it all. Togashi loves that kind of buildup. He plants seeds and only harvests them 100 chapters later. And Gyro is one of those seeds. He could be funding a revolution. He could be corrupting a group. He could even be infiltrated in a major structure, like the Hunter Association itself, with a pawn already under his control. And of course, there's the Muruum factor, because Gyro is the only ant who kept his consciousness without direct contact with the king. That says a lot. He's a separate entity, a wild variable. And what if he decides to create his own ant kingdom? A kingdom that doesn't want peace or wisdom, just pure chaos. Deep down, what Gyro is doing now, and what he'll do in the future, is closely tied to the idea of a cycle. He saw the world break him, and now he wants to return the favor. But unlike other characters who act out of impulse or temporary revenge, Gyro is patient. He wants the pain he felt to spread slowly, like a plague, and that's scarier than any battle. So if you ask me what he's doing right now, I'd guess he's quiet. Quiet, but alert, watching, recruiting, planting, and when he reappears, it won't be as just another enemy. It'll be as an idea. And my friend, fighting an idea is way harder than defeating a monster. Hunters, that was our video for today. Leave a like if you enjoyed our video, subscribe to the channel as it is still very new, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then.